What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 141. Uno, cuatro, uno, my folks. And this is the 2025-26 NFL season playoff preview episode, wild card edition. And, well, we have safely arrived. The first leg of our destination on board the SS Ramball. And now the second journey, the second leg begins. And it begins right away this Saturday in Carolina, where the ship ran aground too close to the rocks, Captain, back in November. And without even adequate time to reset, make repairs on board the ship, and get the proper rest. Without time for that, we have to turn around quickly and get going in quest of a title, in search of the promised land. And so now the time has arrived. And my folks, I hope you've been with me for the entire duration of this journey. It's been quite interesting, to say the least. And you know, I told you back in August of 2025, I told you that I believe the Rams were sailing on a championship vessel. I told you that the SS Ramball would reach the promised land. I predicted back in August that the Rams would go 12-5. You remember. And in fact, they did go 12-5, just as predicted. And so I'm hoping that the final aspect of that prediction holds true as well, which, as you know, means a journey to the promised land, a Super Bowl championship. That's what we're looking for. But first things first, we have to start as wild card participants. And, you know, I've been thinking about it, my folks. And we'll get to the Cardinal game in just a bit. You know, dead bird roadkill. We'll get to that. McWonder owns the Gridbirds. We'll get to that. But I've been thinking, my folks, you know, when I projected the Rams' season victory output, when I projected 12 victories for the Rams, I didn't exactly have the losses pinpoint and precise. There were a couple of games I thought back in August the Rams might lose. Put them up. For example, put them up against the Lions. I thought the Rams might lose that one. But they did, in fact, beat the Lions, put them up. And of course, the Lions didn't even make the playoffs. That's another missed projection on my part. I thought the Lions would at least make the playoffs. But where I thought the Rams would get a dub, and they didn't, the most surprising of those, in fact, I would go so far as to say that of the Rams' 5 losses, the worst one, well, it wasn't against Shanahan and them damn Niners. I fully expected the Rams might cough one up against them, and so to get a split with them damn Niners, well, that was what I expected. It wasn't against Seattle. You know, I knew Seattle was a good team, and I thought very possible that the Rams would end up splitting with the Seahawks. So that's not a shocker either that they lost one to the Hawks. I'm not shocked by the earlier season loss to Philadelphia, the Eagles. And, I mean, that was a stinger because the Rams had them. They had them. And they let them off the hook. And And so, you remember how that game ended, the blocked field goal that would have won the game going the other way for the touchdown. That wasn't the worst loss of the season. I thought the Rams would lose that one up in Philly. No. The last loss they had against the Atlanta Dead Birds, the Falcons, rah, and best wishes, rah. I heard they swung the axe on rah. Soon as the season ended, they said, rah, you got to get gone. And so, best of luck and happy trails to Raheem. But that loss to Ra, that wasn't the worst loss of the season in my estimation. In fact, Ra, he had a little bit of that insider knowledge. He knew the book of McWonder firsthand, and he applied it, and he beat him at his own game with it. And so that wasn't a shocker. Besides, by that point, I think the Rams were flat, a little disappointed. They couldn't get the one and all of that business. No, it was a trap game and they got trapped. But that is not the worst loss of the season. In my humble opinion, the worst loss of the Rams' entire season was the loss in Carolina to the Panthers. They had no business losing that game, and yet, true to his predilections, his proclivities, his idiosyncrasies, he played the game in the second half straight out of the book of McWonder, and Canales ran him down in the second half in the rain in Carolina and got him, whooped him, and put a big fat L on his head. That was the worst loss of this Rams campaign, in my opinion. And so how ironic and perhaps somehow fitting, poetic, if you will, that the Rams' first round playoff opponent would be those very same Carolina Panthers, right back at the scene of the first crime, where the Rams ship first ran aground in Carolina, too close to the rocks, Captain. And if you recall, in that game, the second half, there was a drive and rain pouring, and our coach McWonder was hell-bent and determined on airing the pigskin out in the driving rain. Outdoors in Carolina, and he got his ass whooped doing this. And so, well, this is a public service announcement. I took the liberty of checking the weather forecast for the Rams game in Carolina this coming Saturday, and well, wouldn't you know it, rain is in the forecast. 73% chance, likelihood of rain on Saturday during the day. And so once again now, the stage is set. The conditions are not ideal for the proclivities, for the tendencies, for the idiosyncrasies that emanate from the book of McWonder. And I will say now what I said last week and what I have said time and time and time again. If Coach McDub takes that book of McWonder show on the road to Carolina, hell-bent and determined, bound to prove that he can chuck it through the air, through the rain, and get a dub in Carolina, I am extremely concerned that he will end up facing the same result. L's, which would mean one and done, which would mean that's an epic fail. And so for all the goodwill, and there have been many wonderful things that have developed and transpired this season, for all of that, it would all be a flaming tragic meltdown if you go to Carolina and get your ass handed to you again. This time in the postseason playoffs. No, coach. Say it ain't so. And so once again, I'm going to extremely adamantly encourage you to follow the 25-30 principle. This is the way. It is the truth. It is the light. Just follow it, and you'll be well, and all will be well. Eschew it at your peril. You have been warned, sir. All right. And so now, there won't be any game analysis this week. I mean, suffice it to say that the Cardinals are dead, dirty birds walking and flapping. And, well, you know, as I said last week, or at some point not very long ago, Coach McWonder owns the Cardinals. And so I didn't expect that he would let another one get away, not against a team that he possesses like the Cardinals. So we won't go into all of the details, but I do want to give out our traditional game balls in a victory. And of course, we're going to have to apply the principle. We must do that. And we'll take a little look around the league as we wrap up the season's end. And then we'll get you out of here, and we will look forward to the first round wild card matchup in Carolina on Saturday. All right. So let's get right to it then, shall we? Now, first and foremost, let's start with some injury concerns, okay? Now, it was good to see Higbee back out balling, and Tutu was back out as well, so that was good to see. It looks like, maybe we're getting some of the troops back, some reinforcements coming in, and so, the question obviously is, will Devontae, they forgot about Tay, will Tay be back? I expect he probably wouldn't dream of missing a playoff opportunity. And so I expect we will most likely see Davante Adams in the wild card round on Saturday. But Kevin Dotson, that stalwart on the offensive line, that's another matter. He may still be out. And I just want to say here that there was some consternation about the injury. It looked like Kevin Dotson got stomped on by this, I'm just going to say, a nameless, low-caliber individual who it appeared, to have intentionally, a Seahawk, to have intentionally stomped Dotson when he was down, dirty and low. And so, this player was suspended, who shall remain nameless, because really, I don't even want to utter it. But it was a classless, repugnant, vile thing to do to one of your fellow NFL football fraternity mates. And so Dotson, that ankle in bad shape, just may not be back in time for the wild card matchup on Saturday in Carolina. But the good news is that Warren McClendon Jr. has played very well, extremely well. And it sounds like we will get Havenstein back. Havenstein will be back. And so that gets Dedrick out of the way. And so with that O-line consisting of Alaric Jackson, who is back, and Avila and Coleman Shelton, and now most likely Warren McClendon and Havenstein, I think we're in pretty good shape on the O-line. Now, it was also really good to see Higbee back running around out there, and Higbee had a great day. We'll get to that a little later. But Fergie, may or may not be available for the first round playoff matchup in Carolina. Fortunately, McDubb has Higbee, and then the athlete formerly known as the Ghost, he got in a little bit of action against the Cardinals, and then also you've got Cousins still running around, and so the tight end room looks good to go. Hopefully the wide receiver room will be good to go. The O-line room hopefully will be good to go. And then, well, the running back room looks good to go. It was good to see Deuces out there. He bounced back real quick, healed like Wolverine. So hopefully the running back room good to go. And we know Matty is going to be good to go. We know that. And so you look like you're in damn near excellent shape, with just a minor exception here or there on the offensive side of the ball. Good news on the defensive side of the ball. Word is Quentin Lake is expected to be back. Good news. And it's fair to say that the Rams defense has apparently regressed over these past few weeks, and so I'm hopeful that Q will be just the shot in the arm that the Rams defense needs to get back to their dominant ways. And we saw some signs of it against the Cardinals, but again, that is the Cardinals that we're talking about. All right, so speaking of the Cardinals, let's go ahead and give out a few game balls in a victory, game balls. And so the first game ball I want to give out is, well, to the quarterback that I have a hopeful suspicion will be your next MVP. MVP is Matty from the D. Matthew Stafford. Matty, 25 completions, 259 yards, 4 touchdown passes, 4 more, leading the league by a wide margin. He also had a 114.5 QB rating, and so Matty back on track, it looked like, against the Cardinals today. Game ball, Matthew Stafford, soon to be your next MVP. Game ball, Puka Nacua, who once again led the league in receptions this season. Puka Nacua, the man already has a mantle filled with game balls. Puka Nacua, the game's leading receiver. He had 10 catches against the Cardinals. 76 yards, easy math, a 7.6 yards per catch average. He had a touchdown. He also ran twice. He had a couple of Puka jet sweeps, netted 24 yards, 12 a pop. And so Puka Nacua, already a young legend. Game ball, sir. And then finally, I want to give a game ball. As I mentioned earlier, welcome back. Game ball to Tyler Higbee. Welcome back, Higgs. Big Higgs. He had 5 catches, which is beautiful. 91 yards. That's eye-popping. 18.2 yards per catch. Nice. He also had a tutty. Good to see the big tight end running around loose, making catches and being dynamic on offense. Welcome back, Tyler Higbee. Game ball, sir. Game ball. And then I want to give out 3 honorable mentions. I'll give them all out on the defensive side. As I mentioned, the defense seemed to have hit a little bit of a lull there for a bit, but I think they're revving back up. That's my hope anyway, right in the nick of time. And so, honorable mention on defense. Let me give one. My first one, I want to give it to Jay McCullough. The defensive back, McCullough, he was your leading tackler on the day. J-Mac, he had 5 solo tackles, 2 more assisted tackles. Honorable mention, sir. Honorable mention, Cam Kinchins. Cam, he had 4 tackles and 2 assisted tackles. And then honorable mention, vroom, 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 V8. Honorable mention, Jared Verse, V8. 3 tackles and a sack. Had Brissett grazing on Palace turf. Honorable mention, V8. And so now, we need to do what we must do. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers from the Rams drubbing of the dead birds heading south for vacation, the Cardinals. Let's look at the numbers from that game. Well, it was a 37-20 LA stomping. So you expect the numbers would be skewed, and they were. But what I look for, my folks, is the rushing yards. I go to that line first, and for many weeks now, the Rams have, even in victories, they've been getting outrushed by their opponent. And, well, good to see that that didn't happen against the Cardinals, and it rarely does. We're talking about the Cardinals. McWonder owns them. So the Rams rushed for 143 yards, only 79 for the Cardinals, and there it is. That's pretty much what I need to see. When you go down the stat sheet, though, well, that rushing line tells me that the Rams are dominating the line of scrimmage and dominating time of possession and dominating number of plays and dominating first downs, and all those things are the case. That's exactly how it follows. And so, with the Rams winning time of possession, number of first downs, number of plays, all of that business, and playing clean, no turnovers, well, you see how the score got so lopsided. Then you factor in the Cardinals had 2 turnovers. Well, you could pretty much box them up. They're ready to head south on vacation. All right, so now, let's do what we must do. Let's get to the heart of it. Let's apply the principle, my 25-30 principle, to the proceedings. And let's see if, once again, the principle holds true, golden, infallible. Let's find out. All right, let's start. We're going to start with the victors. We're going to start with the Rams. And so, well, let's see now. Matty, 25 of 40. 40. So McWonder is still high on the pass attempts. 40. Was he sacked once? Yes, he was. And so that's 41. 41 pass attempts. So McWonder misses the first metric. He's over on pass attempts. Let's look at rushing. All right, K. Will had 12 carries. Corum had 13 carries. Hey, bingo, ding, ding, ding. 25 right there. Plus, as I mentioned, Puka had a couple, 27. So, McWonder hits. He hits the rushing metric. 27 carries is in compliance with the 25-30 principle, but the 41 pass attempts, that is out of compliance. And so he hits one, he misses one. His balance differential is a -14. And just so you know, the balance differential is easily calculated. You simply subtract the total number of pass attempts from the total number of rush attempts. And that's how you get your balance differential. And in the case of Captain McWonder, well, the balance differential, as mentioned, is a -14. -14. Now let's look at the losers. The losers wearing L's on their heads. Dead Cardinals floating. Beaks up. Beaks up. Let's look at them. Let's look at them. Brissett. Jacoby Brissett. 22 of 31 for 243. Okay? Hey, he's close, but 31, was he sacked? He was. Was he sacked? Oh, hell yeah, he damn sure was. 6 of them! 6 times Jacoby Brissett was grazing on Palace turf. 6 of them things for the Rams defense. And so, 31 pass attempts plus 6 sacks. That's 37, and there was a fake, right? There was another pass. 38 pass attempts for the Dead Birds. 38. And so that's over. That's over the limit. All right. And so, that's a big red X. Let's look at rushing for the Cardinals. All right. Well, DeMercado, 2 carries. Brissett, 3 carries. Brissett, Carter, 7. They had 15 total carries, and that's including Jacoby Brissett, 15. So, the Deadbirds, the Cardinals, miss both metrics, and they wind up with a negative 23 balance differential. And so there you see, my folks, once again, and still undisputed and undefeated, my 25-30 principle golden yet again. It is the way. It is the truth. It is the light, McWonder. You need to use it in Carolina. Use it or eschew it at your peril. I'm warning you now. Don't go out to Carolina in the rain playing the 40 pass attempt game. They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. And you're going to end up on the rocks, Captain. All right. So, there you have it. Yet again, the 25-30 principle is golden. All right. And so now, just to give you a little more evidence submitted for your approval, the 25-30 principle on display, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the numbers from the first Rams Carolina game. The game that I have described to you as what I believe is their worst loss of the season. And by worst, I mean most disappointing. Okay? The first Rams Carolina game in November, in Carolina, in the rain. The Panthers. Bryce Young, 15 of 20 passes, 20. Was he sacked? He was, twice. That's 22 pass attempts for Bryce Young. 22. That's a green check. This is what Carolina did to the Rams the first time they used the principle. Do you dig? Let's look at it now. 22 pass attempts the first game. What about rushing? Hubbard had 17 carries. Dowdle had 18. Just between Hubbard and Dowdle, 35 carries. Do you see? Do you see? 35 carries just between. And then Bryce Young had 5 more quarterback. Throw that in. That's 40. 40 rushes. 22 pass attempts. That's a balance differential plus 18. Plus 18. You see? Now, let's look at what Captain McWonder did. Captain McWonder. He had Matty, 28 dropbacks. It's not awful. Wait, was he sacked? Yeah, well, he was twice. That's 30. And then, he lost a yard on a run. I mean, really, that's a sack. I'm not going to give him a pass attempt or a sack for that, okay? I'm like offsetting penalties. So 30 pass attempts and 20 runs. Corum had 7 carries. K. Will had 13. 20. The official stat line is 21 runs. If you give that -1 by Matty, see, that's not a design run. No way, no how. That is a pass play gone bad. Huh? So we won't even count it, but in the end, he's still looking at a -11 balance differential. -11, and essentially, really, he missed both metrics. I'll give him the right on the borderline with the pass attempts. That's when you look at -11, hit one, miss one, or miss both, depending on how you quantify it for McWonder, and you look at Canales. Canales hit both with ease, cleared them easy, plus 17 balance differential. You see? That's the deal right there. You go do that same thing again. You go out there and throw more, 35, 40 times, out in the rain in Carolina. I'm telling you. You run the ball 15 times and throw it 42 times. You're going to lose, coach. I don't want to be the harbinger of doom and gloom and be the one to tell you, but somebody needs to pull your coat. Get on the principle or you're going to have early vacation time. Captain? All right, so just to finish up on the principle, I just wanted to give you one more exhibit. One more article submitted for your inspection. Let's look at them damn Niners against Seattle this past weekend, right? And it was a 13-3 low-scoring game, as you know, and of course Seattle won that game, and they are the 1 seed. But I just want to give you an example of how the principle doesn't play favorites. If you use it and apply it, it works. If you eschew it, if you disregard it, it bites your ass. Father Shanahan wrote the book of McWonder, and I have to give shout out to my son. He said, Father went McWonder against Seattle. And, well, he didn't go full McWonder. He didn't have his quarterback throw it 45 times, but the rushing piece, oh, shame on you, Father. Let's look at the numbers from the San Francisco-Seattle game, and let's start with the victors. Let's start with Seattle. Sam, he was 20 of 26 against them damn Niners. Was he sacked? He was twice. 28 pass attempts for Sam. I could be. Sam, 20 of 26 with 2 sacks. That's a big green check on the passing metric. Check. Ding, ding, ding. Let's look at rushing now. Rushing for the Seahawks. Well, Kenneth Walker III, 16 carries, 97 yards. He had another good game. He had a great game against the Rams, and he followed it up with a better game maybe against them damn Niners. 6.1 per carry. And then Charbonnet. Well, you know, Charbonnet, he who picks up incomplete passes in the end zone and they give him 2 points, Charbonnet. And that fit on the t-shirt? Charbonnet, 17 carries. And so, right there, just Charbonnet and Walker III, 33 carries. Ding, 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 ding. Green. And so, the balance differential for Seattle is a +5. And they hit both metrics. Do you see? They won that game. Now let's look at the losers. Let's look at them damn Niners wearing that L on their heads. Thought they were going to have home games all the way. They thought they were going to have home games all the way to the Super Bowl. You might just very well be one and done, damn you. Them damn Niners. One and done. I'd like to see it. Let's look at the Niners. Them damn. Brock Purdy. Well, okay, 19 of 27, good. Was he sacked? Indeed. 3 times they had him grazing on San Francisco grass. 3 times. 30 pass attempts. Well, I'll give them the check there. They're right at the precipice, but they cleared it. 30 pass attempts. What about rushing? Let's look at rushing. Father Shanahan, the sorcerer. McCaffrey. Run CMC McCaffrey. 8 carries for McCaffrey. 8. Only 8? Only 8. 8 for 23. 23. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, surely there were other running backs that filled it. Well, no. After that, well, Robinson 2 carries for 9 yards, and Brock Purdy was the only other rusher. He had 2 carries for 21. What? Them damn Niners rushed 12 times. 12. 30 pass attempts, 12 runs. That's a negative 18 balance differential. They hit a metric. They missed the rushing metric. And so you got Seattle hitting both metrics of my principle with a +5. You got them dams hitting one right on the edge, barely hitting it, and then missing another one by a wide margin. Negative 18 balance differential, and they go down to defeat. L's to be had all around San Francisco. And so at this point, there's not much more left for me to say other than I want to give you my predictions. Now, you know I'm a predictor. I have been trying my hat at the Swami card. When it comes to predictions anyway. Let's start here. I said the Rams would go 12-5 and win the Super Bowl. I'm going to stay with that ride. Okay, I'm not going to jump off that train, even though I have had my cause for concern, grave concern. But I'm going to stay with that original prediction. Now. In the AFC, you know, I predicted that it would be Baltimore in the Super Bowl, and Baltimore didn't even make the playoffs. So I have to reset for the playoffs. I need a pick from the AFC. And so let's go ahead and get to some predictions, shall we? Here you go. And this, again, all I will say, as I have said in the past, is this is for entertainment purposes only. But if you take this advice and you go win a nice chunk of change, do me a solid and cash at me, show some love. Show some love if you hit with any of this. Okay, so now here we go. Rams and Panthers. As we have previously discussed, to start it all off, they get the ball rolling for Wild Card Weekend. And so I am, as you know, predicting the Rams to play with enough resolve and discipline. I believe they are a better team. And as long as the captain does not fall victim to his predilections, as long as the captain does not bend and succumb to his proclivities and idiosyncrasies, the Rams should be able to advance to the second round. Now, the second game that evening, however, Packers and Bears. Well, I'm not as high on Green Bay as a lot of people are, to be honest with you. And so I certainly don't believe they have what will be required to go to Chicago and upset the Bears, who most certainly will be favored. They are the 2 seed after all. And so Caleb, fight on. I'm going to pick Caleb and the Bears to advance to the next round with a victory over the Pack on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the early game, Bills, Jags. Now here's another a team, and in specific, a quarterback that I don't believe in. No. Trevor Lawrence has played much better than I expected he would. I give him that. And we'll see if he can continue that into a postseason run. However, I don't believe in the biggest of moments against the best of opponents that he's going to be up to the task. I think he gets into his pumpkin and he rolls away. The Bills advance to the next round. And then the middle game on Sunday, them damn Niners versus the Eagles. Well, I'd like nothing more than to see them damn Niners take a big L on their heads. I enjoy when them damn Niners go down in defeat. And so this game, I feel like it will probably be close. And I've seen enough conflicting evidence from both teams to feel like it really is like a toss-up. But I'm going to go with the home team and defending Super Bowl champion Eagles to advance over them Dams to the next round. And then the Sunday night game, Sunday night football, it is the LA Chargers and the New England Patriots. Now, I have been impressed with Herbert, the Chargers quarterback, his toughness, grittiness, and resolve. And I'm not 100% sold that New England is the next coming, but I don't think the Chargers are going to have enough to take New England out. I'm going to go with the Patriots to advance. And then the final game of Wild Card Weekend is Houston, Pittsburgh. And so I'm going to let you in on a little secret right now. Since I have to have a new team for my AFC Super Bowl pick, I think that the Houston Texans are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl against the Rams, and we'll get a rematch of that game that opened the season, Rams-Texans, a rematch of that one in the big game, the Super Bowl in February. That's my newest prediction, but we'll see how it all plays out over the first round, Wild Card Weekend. And so, having said all that, I'm going to say that Houston will defeat Pittsburgh. Although I want to really give a shout out, big up to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers once again. He won 10 games, never had a losing season in 18 seasons, not 8, 18. 10 games again this year. And, well, winner take all against Baltimore, and they took it. Baltimore is eliminated, and I would love to see the Steelers go on a little bit of a Cinderella because, well, not because of COVID toe. I don't care for him, but I do like Tomlin. And, they were chanting fire Tomlin. He doesn't have the pieces there. He's got to make all this stuff happen with makeshift pieces. Aaron Rodgers is makeshift. Well, remember they were saying he was using the word castaway, cast off. Cast off. I'm not a cast off. They're cast off, but he's a cast off. This is what Tomlin, he's making a gourmet meal out of scrap ingredients. It's a great coach, and they wanted to get rid of him. Well, I'm happy for him. I just think Houston is too big of an obstacle for the Steelers to surmount. So let's see how those postseason predictions play out. And then, of course, Denver, who I don't believe in, and Seattle, who I am a believer. They have the buys. And so now we are underway. Money time, the second season. And so at this point, what I'm now going to ask of you what I'm going to ask you to do is throw me one of these. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you agree? Disagree? Hit the bell. That way you will be notified when I drop my next video. And you know my next video won't be long from this video because I will be back on the other side of the wild card weekend games in the NFL, and we will chop up the outcome. And so until then, my friends, Scotty says, thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Go Rams. One love.